Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
You go into your shower feeling, but as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. That crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from the shower, 37 minutes later, because you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want, you're ready to take on the day and smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Shop now at Walmart.
It's time to get inside the Giants Huddle.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
On Giants.com.
I like it, I like it.
And the Giants mobile app.
Boom, give me some juice.
Part of the Giants Podcast Network.
Let's roll.
Welcome into the Giants Huddle podcast, brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the New York Football Giants. With a Week 2 rapid reaction, Madelyn, Burke, and the Super Bowl champ Amani, Toomer here to break down the 21-18 loss. Giants falling to the Commanders in Washington on a field goal, a 30-yard field goal as time expires. And Amani, if I were to tell you the Giants defense would not allow a touchdown in the red zone, the Washington Commanders would have a penalty in the red zone almost every time they were there, and the Giants would score 3 touchdowns and would not allow a touchdown, that would feel like I was describing a win, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. And it had to, something really strange has to happen. The statistical probability of the Giants losing with everything you had just said previously, I mean, you're talking into the very rarefied air, 10%, 5%. There's most teams, if you don't score a touchdown or you, only way you can do it is probably losing the turnover battle, which they did, and having something extraordinary like a kicker get hurt, because how many times in an NFL game does a kicker actually get hurt? I mean, it's probably once or twice a year. Most of these kickers are, they don't do too much during their season, and they very rarely get hit. So soft tissue injury for a kicker is very strange. Yeah,
and it's illegal to contact a kicker unless on an opening kickoff, the Commanders run back a touchdown, which was later called back with a flag, but Graham Gano getting in on the tackle. And Gano, of course, this week had been hampered in practice with a groin injury. He was good to go with that groin, but on that opening play of the game suffers a hamstring injury, something no one could have seen coming. Mm-hmm. Gano goes out with a hamstring injury. The Giants, on their first offensive possession, after the Commanders took 9.5 minutes off the clock to get their first offensive points, a field goal to start the game, Giants' first offensive possession, they score a rushing touchdown, Devin Singletary, and no Graham Gano means punter Jamie Gillen comes in to attempt the PAT. It goes wide right, and from that point on, Brian Daboll's like, listen, I appreciate you stepping up, but we're going to go for 2. We're not trusting the field goal. We're not, and not having a kicker that you can trust in that moment changes the landscape of the game. So now instead of 7, you're getting 6 with each touchdown because each subsequent 2-point conversion was no good. And then you're in a position late in the game, when you're driving down the field, you're on 4th and 3 in field goal range, but you don't have a kicker that you can trust. So Daniel Jones passes to Malik Neighbors, his 18th target of the game, and the rookie just barely doesn't come up with it. And you saw Neighbors beating himself up as the Commanders drive down the field as time expires for that game-winning touchdown. But Neighbors, outside of that play, he had a tremendous game, 127 yards receiving, 10 receptions, a touchdown. Amani, how long did it take you for your first 100-yard receiving game?
Why you got to bring up old stuff? No, it took me a long time. I think it was 4 years. And I think my first receiving touchdown was my 2nd year. So you're talking about it took a while for me. And the fact that he was so dominant. I mean, there's not a lot of players in this league that can change the outcome of a game single-handedly by their performance. And he was able to do that today in his 2nd game. This kid is going to be special, and I can't wait to see it. But there's a big difference between college and pro, and what it is the 40-second clock. In college, they start the 25-second clock once they spot the ball. In the pros, as soon as the play ends, that 40-second clock starts. So that just speeds up everything. And when it speeds it up, you get much less time to rest in between plays. So one thing I really remember having to adjust to was the pace between plays of the game. And this is something that towards the end of the game, I think he just got a little bit tired, because it's a lot quicker of a game. There's more plays that happen during a pro game, and it's just something that he's going to adjust to. But it's good that he's getting all these very good reps. He's going to take this into the offseason, and he's going to have to come in better. I'm not saying he's in bad shape, but he's not in the shape that he needs to if he wants to be as dominant as he was today throughout the entire season. Not just today, but I'm talking later on in the season when it's cold. He's going to have to be in tip-top shape. And I hope he realizes that from this situation.
You're ready for a change. Payday comes early with Citizens, so go to that retreat. New you moves to the country. Now you're raising goats and launching a lifestyle brand. Are you ready for all that life brings?
Yeah, it's a long season. That was the first thing you said, too, when you saw that drop. You're like, he looks tired.
Yeah.
Right there. It's a long season. You got to take care of your body, and especially if he's going to be used in the way that he was used this afternoon. Daniel Jones and Malik Neighbors, just 2 games into their career together, already having quite the chemistry on the field. But, you don't get the pass game going without establishing the run, and the run game really got going early. Devin Singletary, motor with 95 yards and a touchdown. He scored that touchdown on the Giants' opening offensive possession. Gotta say, too, a hat tip to the Giants. This was their first touchdown on the opening offensive possession of a game in 27 games, snapping the longest active streak in the NFL. This ends the longest active streak without an opening drive touchdown, and the Giants got it done. They got in the end zone. Brian Dable said earlier this week, what do you need to do to turn around from week 1's loss? We got to score touchdowns. They scored 3 of them, including one from Devin Singletary, but establishing the run, a point of emphasis, Amani, and it seemed to be established today.
Yeah, I think they rushed for 129 yards, averaging 5.9 per, with a 22-yard long gain and a touchdown. Those are numbers that you can win. But the problem is, on the other side of the ball, they gave up, with 35 attempts, they gave up 215 yards, 6.1 per attempt. That is unacceptable. This Giants defense, they have a new defensive coordinator. They're trying to figure out all the bugs. I remember back in 2007, our defense was terrible for the first 2 weeks, and we ended up losing the first 2 weeks of the season, and then coming back week 3 and then winning 7 in a row. So this thing can turn around quickly. There's some major flaws that have to be adjusted. There's a lot of younger players that are going to have to grow up in a hurry, and because they're getting opportunities to play when ordinarily on another team that had more veterans, maybe they wouldn't. But now they're going to be asked to do a lot, and this is not going to be an easy situation. But for these young players to be battle tested under fire, and that's exactly what these young players on defense are going to do. But there were some highlights. There were some highlights on defense. I thought that, the young corner, Phillips, played really well on the outside. Very physical, making some tackles, getting in there, mixing it up. I feel like that, there's a good young nucleus on this team that's going to be getting better and better every week.
Yeah, Drew Phillips, you mentioned 7 tackles, among the leaders, co-leading the team in tackles today. Also had a sack. The Giants had 5 sacks on the day. This after just 1 sack in week 1. Dexter Lawrence got to the quarterback, taking down Sam Darnold in week 1. But week 2, getting to Jane Daniels, 5 sacks. And that doesn't include the amount of slippery plays in which, Micah McFadden had hands on him. Jane Daniels gets out of it. And the ability, though, of the defense to put pressure on the quarterback and also third down. I mean, bend but don't break seems to be the narrative of Shane Bowen's defense. Just look at the time of possession. Washington had the ball for 37 and a half minutes compared to 22 for the Giants,
that's
right?
Obscene.
They are moving the ball up and down the field. But when it came to the red zone, and especially third downs in the red zone, the Giants were able to hold strong and hold the Commanders to field goals. That combined with Washington's self-inflicted penalties, right? Their false starts consistently in the red zone, backing them up in that situation. But when you have a defense that, yes, they give up some big chunk plays in the middle of the field between the 20s, but when you're between the 20 and the goal line, the fact that they can stand that ground, that's something to tip your hat to as well.
Yeah, I mean, when you play in quarterback, you're judged on two areas. You're judged on third down, and you're judged on red zone. Third down, Jaden Daniels played really well. He was 7 of 14 at 50%. But in the red zone, 0 for 6. So this is he's a quarterback that's on the other side of the field. The quarterback for the Washington Commanders is going to have to grow a lot. And this was an opportunity for the Giants to take advantage of that, and they didn't, unfortunately. But the defense played extremely well, especially in the red zone, holding a team that was moving the ball down the field at ease, holding them to 3 points instead of 7. There, the game wouldn't even have been close.
Right. And, speaking of quarterback play, we've got to mention the play of Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones looked like a completely different player than he was in week 1. Brian Daboll said, you know what, he saw the field well. He threw the ball where he was supposed to throw it. He gave them chances. And Daboll saying he's proud of Daniel Jones's mental toughness, especially with how loud the Giants fans were in their disappointment with the quarterback's play in week 1. Daniel Jones saying, hey, I hear you. I'm not offended. I get it. I know I want to play better. He went out there today, absolutely played better. What do you make of what you saw from the Giants quarterback?
I mean, there's a lot of players that can play when everybody's telling you how great you are. There's very few players that can hear all the fire and hear all the flack and still go out there and perform. And he played very well today. Clean interception sheet, 2 touchdowns. And those are the types of things that let you understand it's not the same to play in other cities. In other cities, they try to hype up their quarterbacks. They try to do all this stuff. In New York, if you don't play well, the fans will let you hear it. The first week of the year, Daniel Jones is walking out into his car, and they have people on the Giant fans, heckling him. To me, that's unacceptable. And I think he handled it perfectly, just ignored it and walked to his car. Not a lot of players would have done that. I don't think a younger Amani Toomer would have done that. I'd have had some words for him. But, he's very mature, and I like the way he is approaching this. It's very mature, very very smart. Who knows if he's going to be here next year and all that stuff. Doesn't matter. He's here for this season, and he knows that only thing he can control is the way he performs on Sundays, and he went out this Sunday and did it.
You love turf. You're good at it. So you start a turf biz. Business grows, your savings grow. Become the most celebrated name in turf. Are you ready for all that life brings?
He went out this Sunday and did it. And you know what? They barely lost this one, 21-18, falling to the Commanders. Again, a very different game if you've got a healthy Graham Gano. You've got, you're in a position to put up the PAT instead of having to go for 2. You're in field goal range, and you can kick a field goal to clinch the win instead of tossing it to Malik Neighbors on 4th down, who comes up with the drop on 4th and 3. Yeah. But turning the page to week 3, of course, another road game for the Giants. They're heading to Cleveland to face a Browns team that, beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 18-13 in Jacksonville. But Cleveland, 13 penalties for 100 yards on the day, not dissimilar to the way that the Commanders played this afternoon. A lot of shoot yourself in the foot kind of moments. How do you kind of capitalize on a team that seems to have the ability to say, okay, you know what, if you're going to make those mistakes, we're going to capitalize on that?
Yeah, Brian Daboll played with was on a lot of really good coaching staffs, one with the Patriots and also with the University of Alabama. And both of those teams are very disciplined, and they allow you to beat yourselves. I remember playing against the Patriots. It was almost not like playing anybody else because they're not going to beat themselves. They force you to beat them, and you have to execute all the way down the field. Very good in the red zone. And I feel like this team can take on that opportunity. They can take on that situation against the Cleveland Browns this weekend because they are going to give you opportunities to win this game. You just have to play a clean enough sheet to take advantage of that situation. And I feel like the Giants this weekend have an opportunity in Cleveland to kind of rectify and change the whole narrative of their season. I think they did a great job today in changing the narrative of how bad the perception of this team is. And now I think they're going to be a competitive group, and I think going into Cleveland, they'll have a great opportunity to prove everybody in this building right and everybody on the outside wrong.
Yeah, it's a close loss in week 2. 21-18 is the final scores. The Giants fall to 0-2 on the season, but it's just week 2 of 18, and that's a wrap for our rapid reaction. With the Super Bowl champ Amani Toomer I'm Madelyn Burke on the Giants Huddle podcast, brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the New York Giants. From game day to every day, Citizens is made ready for Giants fans with insights, guidance, and solutions. Learn more at citizensbank.com.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary, terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
You go into your shower feeling... But as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. That crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from the shower, 37 minutes later, because you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want, you're ready to take on the day. And smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Shop now at Walmart.